Hello, dear Homepedia family. Most homeowners operate under the paralyzing belief that the Hacienda aesthetic demands a historic deed or a complete architectural overhaul involving sledgehammers, structural arches, and adobe bricks. We reject this notion entirely. The essence of this style is not found in structural load-bearing walls, but in the deliberate curation of light, shadow, and tactile history. It is a philosophy of warmth rather than a blueprint of masonry, achievable through surface tension and material honesty. The pain of the modern residential box is its crushing sterility. Smooth drywall and recessed lighting strip a home of its breathing room, leaving occupants feeling unmoored in a vacuum of perfection. By introducing the textural vocabulary of the Spanish Revival, without a single demolition permit, we agitate the stillness of modernism. We replace the echo of emptiness with the heavy, grounding silence of earthenware and timber, proving that soul is a layer we apply, not a foundation we dig. The standard latex paint found in most modern homes sits on the surface like a plastic film, reflecting light with a harsh, uniform glare that reveals every imperfection of the drywall while offering no emotional depth. To combat this superficiality, we turn to the unseen hero of atmospheric design, limewash. By brushing on these mineral-based pigments, we introduce a mottled, velvety texture that absorbs light rather than bouncing it, instantly aging the walls by a century. A room defined purely by four corners often feels trapped and rigid, creating a spatial friction that makes relaxation impossible in a box-like environment. The resolution lies in the strategic placement of oversized, floor-leaning arched mirrors. By reflecting the room back onto itself through a curved frame. We soften the hard angles of contemporary architecture, tricking the eye into perceiving the fluidity and structural romance of a Spanish courtyard arcade. The transition from a busy street to a home should be an atmospheric pivot, yet standard laminate or cool-toned wood floors keep the energy frenetic and ungrounded. To disrupt this flow, we layer expansive woven jute or sisal rugs that mimic the color of dried wheat. This introduces a coarse, organic auditory dampening underfoot, signaling to the body that it has entered a space of rustic stillness and connection to the earth. Modern ceilings are often neglected expanses of white that loom overhead, creating a sense of exposure rather than shelter, an unseen hero of discomfort. We resolve this by installing faux reclaimed wood beams or applying dark, warm stain to existing trim. This visual weight lowers the perceived ceiling height just enough to create intimacy, mimicking the heavy timber support structures of traditional haciendas without the structural requirement. Mass-produced furniture often floats in a room with a weightless, disposable quality that fails to anchor the viewer, contributing to a sense of transience. The spatial friction here is a lack of gravity. We counter this by selecting heavy, rustic pieces, solid walnut consoles, or hand-carved coffee tables that demand attention. These pieces act as emotional anchors, forcing the flow of the room to slow down around their substantial presence. Synthetic fabrics in bright white or cool gray tones feel slick to the touch and visually vibrate with an artificial energy that clashes with the Hacienda ethos. This atmospheric pivot requires a shift to organic textiles like heavy linen, wool, and cotton in oatmeal or sand tones. When light hits these fabrics, it diffuses softly, creating a sensory invitation to touch and linger, reinforcing the quiet luxury of the desert aesthetic. The ubiquity of cool-toned LEDs creates a clinical environment that feels more like a laboratory than a sanctuary, effectively killing the mood of an unseen hero, shadow. We resolve this by swapping high Kelvin bulbs for warm, dimmable sources and utilizing wrought iron sconces or table lamps. This casts intentional, dramatic shadows that play across the textured walls, mimicking the flicker of candlelight in an old mission. Empty corners in a modern home often feel neglected, creating a spatial friction where the energy of the room simply leaks away into dead space. We address this by placing large-scale, handcrafted terracotta vessels or vintage pottery on the floor. These objects occupy the void with sculptural form and earthen color, turning a negative space into a focal point of artisanal appreciation and historical weight. A home completely sealed off from nature feels stagnant and dry, an atmospheric pivot that leaves the spirit parched. To bring the life force of the courtyard inside, we introduce indoor olive trees or large cacti in unglazed pots. The irregular, sculptural branches of the olive tree break the rigid straight lines of the room, introducing a biophilic rhythm that breathes life into the stillness of the masonry-inspired backdrop. Chrome and brushed nickel fixtures signal industrial efficiency, which creates a jarring dissonance against the desire for old-world charm, an unseen hero of style continuity. We systematically replace or refinish these metals with oil-rubbed bronze or matte black iron. The dark hardware absorbs light and provides a high-contrast punctuation mark against the warm walls, suggesting the hand-forged utility of a blacksmith's work. Standard window blinds slice sunlight into harsh, rhythmic strips that feel office-like and severe, creating a spatial friction that alienates the occupant. We resolve this conflict by installing floor-to-ceiling linen drapery on iron rods. The fabric filters the sunlight into a warm, golden glow, softening the boundary between indoors and outdoors and mimicking the hazy heat of a Mediterranean afternoon. The kitchen often suffers from a surplus of sleek, impenetrable surfaces that repel the eye, requiring an atmospheric pivot toward the tactile. We introduce wooden cutting boards, ceramic crocks, and copper accents to the countertops. These organic materials break up the monotony of quartz or granite, offering a living finish that patinas over time, telling the story of the meals prepared and the hands that worked there. Perfectly smooth, manufactured tiles in the bathroom or kitchen can feel cold and impersonal, an unseen hero of sterility. We overlay this with the strategic use of peel and stick, talavera accents or vinyl runners that mimic distinct cement tile patterns. This injection of geometric complexity and hand-painted imperfection adds a layer of cultural history and visual rhythm without the dust of removing existing tile. The layout of modern furniture often pushes pieces against the walls, creating a waiting room effect that fosters social isolation, a spatial friction. We pull the furniture into the center, arranging opposing sofas or leather sling chairs to create a conversation bit. This mimics the communal intimacy of a courtyard gathering, where the focus is on human connection rather than the television or the perimeter walls. A sterile scent profile or worse, the chemical smell of cleaning products can undo even the most beautiful visual design, acting as a negative atmospheric pivot. We curate a scentscape of sage, cedar, and Palo Santo. This olfactory layer is invisible but potent, instantly transporting the mind to the high desert and grounding the visual experience in a deep, primitive sensory memory of fire and earth. Generic, mass-produced art prints flatten a room's soul, leaving walls that feel temporary and devoid of the unseen hero, narrative. We replace these with textural art-woven tapestries, macrame, or framed vintage maps. These pieces add three-dimensional depth to the walls, absorbing sound and inviting close inspection, transforming the vertical surfaces into a gallery of tactile craft. The entryway often lacks a clear transition, dumping guests directly into the living space with no ceremonial pausa-spatial friction. We define this threshold with a heavy rustic bench and a dense woven rug. This pause point forces a physical deceleration, mimicking the vestibule of a grand hacienda, and signaling that one is leaving the chaotic world and entering a sanctuary of slow living. High-gloss finishes on cabinets or furniture reflect too much energy, creating a visual noise that disturbs the peace and atmospheric pivot we must control. We apply matte sealers or chalk paints to existing furniture to dull the shine. The result is a soft, chalky finish that feels dry and sun-baked, aligning the furniture with the matte texture of the lime-washed walls and terracotta accents. Standard interior doors are often flimsy and hollow, betraying the illusion of a solid, fortified structure, an unseen hero of subconscious security. While replacing them is costly, we upgrade the experience by painting them a deep charcoal or warm espresso and upgrading the handles to heavy iron levers. The visual weight suggests solidity, making the act of opening a door feel like a significant transition. The dining area in open-concept homes often feels like a floating island with no anchor, creating spatial friction. We ground this space with a massive raw wood dining table and mismatched chairs. The imperfections in the wood grain and the eclectic seating arrangement suggest a collection inherited over generations, rather than a set purchased from a catalog, fostering a relaxed, communal atmosphere. Bright, cool daylight pouring in from all sides can wash out the subtle textures we've introduced, causing an atmospheric pivot back to sterility. We control the light with bamboo or woven wood shades layered under the drapes. This allows us to sculpt the light, creating pools of brightness and pockets of shadow that enhance the drama and moodiness essential to the Hacienda vibe. The absence of fire in a modern home leaves a primal void, an unseen hero of comfort. Even without a fireplace, we create a hearth-like focus using clusters of pillar candles in varying heights on a low table or in a non-functional fireplace niche. The flickering flame provides a living, moving focal point that warms the visual palate and taps into the ancestral comfort of gathering around a fire. Sleek, low-profile sofas can feel too aerodynamic for a style rooted in comfort and mass spatial friction. We layer these pieces with an abundance of textured throw pillows in mud cloth, leather, and faux fur. This bulk adds visual weight and invites the occupant to sink in, countering the modern lines with the promise of soft, enveloping luxury. A lack of patina makes a home feel like a showroom rather than a dwelling, an atmospheric pivot we avoid. We actively seek out vintage decor items that show wear: a rusted bell, a chipped pot, a faded rug. These imperfections are not flaws. They are badges of authenticity that disrupt the newness of the construction and connect the interior to a timeline longer than the current mortgage. Finally, the perfect arrangement of decor often feels stiff and contrived, ignoring the unseen hero of wabi-sabi. We embrace asymmetry in our styling, stacking books casually, leaning art rather than hanging it, leaving a throw blanket rumpled. This curated carelessness suggests a home that is lived in and loved, capturing the relaxed, unhurried spirit of the Hacienda lifestyle. The true victory of the modern hacienda aesthetic is not in the replication of a specific architectural era, but in the successful rebellion against the cold indifference of modern building standards. We have demonstrated that by prioritizing texture over structure and shadow over wattage, we can manufacture a soul for even the most sterile environment. The friction between the new build and the old world is resolved not by hiding the modern bones, but by wrapping them in the comforting shroud of organic history. Ultimately, these decisions transform a house from a mere shelter into a sensory sanctuary. By engaging the unseen heroes of touch, sound dampening, and light diffusion, we create a home that physically slows the pulse of its inhabitants. The result is a space that does not just look like a picture from a magazine, but feels like a deep exhale, a resolute fortress of calm in a chaotic world.